Show. Living on the water is the only life we know. Yo, ho, ho, ho. It's time for the Boaty Show.
Yes.
That intro exists solely to elicit that laugh from.
It's so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
Jay's a genius. Jay and whoever else is involved in that, which might be no one but Jay.
Yeah.
But
Welcome, everybody. Episode 5, which feels like a milestone. Episode 5 of The Boaty Show. We're so grateful to all you listeners and everything that you do to make this even more fun for us by getting in touch, talking to us, doing stuff, submitting suggestions, giving us critiques, complaining about the poker run, everything. All of it. Like, why'd I have to go there? Why'd I have to go to the poker run? It's like the only political issue in all
Don't touch it.
Boaty.
Leave it alone.
Third rail.
Don't touch it.
Stephanie.
It's like, yes.
Let's talk about where we are. Where are you?
I am in Florida.
What part of Florida?
I'm in Leesburg, Florida.
Yeah.
Which is somewhere near Orlando. And it's very close to Mount Dora because I went there the other day. And there's some lakes here. And that's where I am. It's hot. It's almost like being underwater. It's so humid compared to the North Country. It's just so different, and that is nice.
Yeah, different is good.
And
so,
you?
And
Where
me,
are you, Jeff?
I'm in a different place as well. I am in Sea Isle City, New Jersey, which is one of the barrier islands on the Jersey coast and has a reputation, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We have really good friends, Tracy and Zoltan, who goes by Z, which is amazing. So Tracy and Z have a condo here, and my wife Missy and I came down for the night, which we've been doing a bit of, just like, all right, let's get out of the Dodge and like not have to feed the dogs or deal with anything except making coffee and cleaning up after ourselves. So that's been fun. We went out to dinner last night, and I had 1.5 more beers than I usually have. I had 2.5. I had 2.5 beers, and so I'm a little foggy today. It doesn't take much. Yeah. And
great job.
You went out yesterday, last night also. You were at a dock bar? Yeah.
I mean, I've basically been going out for the last 48 hours. And yesterday was no exception to that. Yesterday I was at a waterfront bar type, several of them, but one of them that I was telling you about, and it was big and it was close to the water and it was a lake, and I think it was Lake Dora.
That's
and
cool.
Yeah, there were boats pulling up left and right. It was boaty. It was super boaty, but we can talk about that,
Let's talk about that right now. Like, I'm not in a very boaty place. I'm in a beachy place. It's kind of cool because it's like you think of, I'll go to the beach as like I'll go away to a natural setting. The Jersey Barrier Islands, it's like high density living with beachfront and bayside waterfront amenity. And a friend of mine, Aaron, who is a fan of the show, he lives in South Carolina now, but he has a condo in Ocean City, New Jersey, which is the next barrier island north of Sea Isle City. And if I'm sure I'm getting that wrong, and all of the Jersey people will tell me, so please do correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, Ocean City it's like a walkable urban experience. And he used to live in a suburban area of New Jersey near Cherry Hill or something, where like he had to drive everywhere, but he loved being in Ocean City because he could like get up in the morning and go walk and get a cup of coffee, and he could go out to dinner on foot. Beach bike would get him further. So he's a big surfer, so there's a surf shop nearby. And I think that's kind of a special thing about the Jersey Shore that people get to enjoy. Like, you don't have to get in the car when you come down here. You can have a whole bunch of fun just walking around. Yeah.
Sounds nice.
And you've never been here, have you, the Jersey Shore?
Didn't I go to the Jersey Shore to buy my beautiful, beautiful Menemsha whaler that we talked about in the last episode?
Yes, that we talked about. It has portholes and gull-wing doors. And I think I forgot to put a picture of it up on the socials. But you did. You came down to one of the Jersey Shore towns, and I can't remember which one. I think it was north of here.
Either. But what I do remember is like there was just the wonderful gentleman who had decided not to sell his whaler because nobody was buying it. And then I had to I found it like after he changed his mind. Remember this? He was like, wait, I'm not going to sell this because I put a lot of work into it and it's all perfect and it's all nice and nobody seems to want it. And then I was like, he took the post down, and then I had to like talk him into it and tell him sad stories about how I had like small children that needed transporting. And finally he was like, okay, I'll sell you the boat. And it was very sweet. He was great.
I remember now you played a hard baby mom boating card, which like maybe it wasn't the first time it had ever been played, but it doesn't get played very often. And you told me this story about how you like got in touch with them and you're like, I have children and this and like Like a lot
I'll
of
never be able to get my children back and forth safely if you don't sell me this one boat. This is the only boat in the whole world. And he was like, all right.
you did go with the safety card, which is fun, especially for you.
Great point. But he was so great. He had done such a nice job, like making it all nice. And then which I sort of summarily destroyed it over the course of 6 years, and then sold it to somebody else to fix it up again.
No, you summarily destroyed it over the course of 3 months. I was there when he dropped it off or when you sold it, when whoever picked it up.
Yeah, when it was a pickup, when I sold it to the next guy who was going to fix it up. Yeah,
and that person was so excited about the condition of it, which was ironic because you had gotten it in pristine condition, brand new canvas, like the woodwork was all done, everything was fine, and then in about like I'm going to take it down from 3 months to 3 weeks, you hammered it into submission. And and then when the people who bought it picked it up, they're like, oh my God, it's in such great shape. And I remember it was dark out. They were loading it onto a trailer, and I like stood back and I was just like.
So I mean, then I don't want to make light of the role that these people play. I apparently I am the destroyer of boats to like the light presence of the other people in the world that make them nice again.
That sounded.
Which I don't know if I'm proud of that or not or whatever, but it is what it is. You have to just accept who you are.
That sounded like some kind of like first world biblical shit.
It's really,
behold, I am
really
the
And then in yet another delightful twist, the wonderful couple who you remember hauling it away, and they loved that it was in awful condition, and they fixed up, and they come back and visit me every year with the boat. Like they come back and hang out with me, and it's so fun
to show you. And is it still in good shape?
It looks beautiful. I'm like, give me 10 minutes with that thing.
as the like Old Testament destroyer of boats, I think you could offer a service to the boating world of boat distressing, right?
That seems like a worthwhile thing to try.
Like there's all sorts of stuff.
Buy the domain now and see what happens. I mean, I can't imagine that that's a useful thing that I could do, but I know I would do a good job at it. I was born for that. I was born for that job.
There's like all kinds of bureaus and like tables on Etsy that have been like distressed.
Yeah.
Like people put a lot of time and effort into distressing them so that they look more authentic. I think this is your niche in the boating world. I
mean, if there's a place for it, I mean, I guess here's the upside. The lovely woman, she bought that, she bought the Menemsha, right, from me. And the fact that it was a mess was a selling point. She was very excited. Her husband wanted a project, right? Like he wanted to fix it up. Like, and she didn't care about it at all. Like I tried to talk to her about it, and she was like, "Honey, sweetheart, I don't give a shit about that. Don't tell me about the boat. It's my husband that likes it. I don't want anything to do with it." She did.
She sounded like that too. She was kind of just like this. Whatever.
She's got a great. I'm not quite giving it the right term. Anyway, you get the idea. She was not interested, but he wanted it to be a bit of a mess. He wanted to stay out in the garage for the next 8 to 12 months and fix it. And I guess, to be honest, maybe it would be a service if he just gave it back to me for one summer and I like took it back to its original condition before he got it.
I think maybe. and he paid for the privilege. I think that since we're partners in the Grace, the 1960 Slick Craft runabout, I'm going to fix it up until it's like nice and bright and shiny, and then we're going to have an option for whoever buys it where we upsell them that if they'd like, it could be professionally distressed.
It's a great idea. I've never heard those words before, but I like it a lot.
Well, it doesn't have a rub rail, but I'll put a rub rail on it. And for anybody that doesn't know what a rub rail is, if you're new to boating, boats have a perimeter, right? Like the outside edge, which is the first part that would hit something that like you're pulling up next to another boat or you're pulling up to a dock or whatever. The rub rail is like the 360-degree bumper for a boat. The way that rub rails function for Stephanie is they take a beating. And
I mean, obviously that's what they're there for. So I don't understand. I feel like there's like some judgment and implication in here.
No, I think there's some enthusiasm from you. You're like, fuck it, let's do this. And what's ironic is that
our friend Anna Larson has that industrial size. It's like almost like an elevator, like handle. I'm really jealous of that.
It is an elevator handle.
Oh, yeah. It is?
Yeah. Ken, her dad somehow sourced elevator handrail. So it's like the rubber strip that runs next to you when you're on, not an elevator, escalator handrail.
Escalator. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He sourced this stuff because he was like, that's perfect. And it's like super industrial, meant to just, be an escalator handrail and go on this endless loop and take all that kind of abuse. And he wrapped it around Anna's boat, and it's perfect. Yeah.
So jealous.
Yeah. I also want to make sure everybody understands here that all of this mayhem is not accidental mayhem, because Stephanie drives a boat like nobody else. You are, and you don't even know you're doing it because you've never really even like tried or thought about it, but you can boat in circles around anybody when it comes to handling and docking and backing and going here and going there, because it's just like breathing to you. That's a compliment. Say thank you.
Thank you.
You can say thank you with a question mark, but that's fine.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. I
All
believe
right.
you. I'll take your word. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, and one of the things I enjoy is boating with Stephanie when she pulls up next to a dock and there's like typically a middle-aged white dude standing there, and he like comes out to like save her from what is the impending doom of her docking the boat, and then she's like whip 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 blam.
Oh my God, it's so true. And then what does he do?
Like takes your lines. Oh no, he's like, good job.
Right, exactly. And it's, I mean, there's a sweetness to it. I'm not mad about it, but it's like this, well, you managed to do that, little lady. It was really, it's like, and it's fine. Like, it doesn't bother me, but just like, it's so predictable and consistent that it's like, you're like, okay, thanks. Yeah. Thank you for approving of my docking job. But the other thing I want to say quickly is my boat is so easy to dock. It really, really is. So I'm going to give the Seaway, my current boat, a lot of the credit for that. It is the easiest boat to dock in the entire world, period.
We're going to talk about Down East boats now. Down East boats for recreation. This is a great segue with your Seaway. See what I did there?
Segue with Seaway.
Not impressed. All right. We have
I just am a little slow, but now I both see it, hear it, and I also am impressed. Well done.
Let's rewind a bit and go back to why you're slow, because in Central Florida on Lake Dora, you were at a waterfront dock bar.
I was. That's right. We didn't quite close the loop on that, did we? So I was at this bar, and it was like, I can't remember what it was called, but we were in the seaplane.
That's a good bar. That's
capital.
actually what we're going to name the Boaty Show bar. It's going to be, I can't remember what it's called.
I can't remember what it's called. We were in the seaplane capital of the world, and that made me really happy. And one of our listeners actually asked me whether seaplanes are boats. So put a pin in that.
Oh.
And then, but this bar, it was just amazing. Like, we're like by the edge of a lake, and this is the first time I've ever been to Florida lakes before. Really, like, we usually am in the ocean. So, but we are in this patio with a ton of people. And I think what you were trying to get me to talk about is the fact that I was drinking too many rum punches, which is true. And
you only had one. You only had one.
Well, only one there.
Oh.
I had two at the last lakeside bar, which I also can't remember what that was called. Or no, that was the Hideaway. Anyway.
Okay, good. You can remember the name of the first bar. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
So wait, was that where?
Were way weaker than the second bar.
Okay. Where was the giant styrofoam cup?
That was the first bar.
Okay.
That place was crazy, amazing. We were like sitting there, and there were boats coming in and out, and there was a live band. Laura and I danced. It was crazy. And then we saw a
Hideaway.
That was the Hideaway.
And then you saw what? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Well, that's when the Lone Star pulled in. I don't know if it's time for us to talk about that or not. But
it is now. Now that you brought it up, it's time for us to talk about it. You sent me a video of the Lone Star and multiple pictures of the Lone Star. Let's describe. I want you to describe the Lone Star pulling up. Like, what did you see, and how did it make you feel?
I mean, so all the other boats around were fine, because I like all boats, right? There were some of those like oceany center consoles that are like too big with too many motors kind of things. There was a bunch of pontoon boats, and that was like mostly the vibe. And then all of a sudden, right down the middle comes sliding in, like right next to the picnic table where Laura and I were drinking enormous styrofoam drinks. And this beautiful little Lone Star just totally tricked out. Like, very red, white, and blue, gorgeous blue, and like Lone Star painted in red. And I don't know if people know these boats, but it's a simple aluminum, 14 feet, 15 feet, little boat. This one had like I'm going to call it a Tower Mercury, which I just made that up. I don't know if it's a thing. Somebody will be hopefully correct me about all of these things. But it was so pristinely put together and artfully, just like the seats were beautiful. Somebody really loved this sweet little boat. So seeing somebody put that much energy and enthusiasm into that particular boat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that little sweet ride.
Yeah.
Little aluminum, nothing fancy about a Lone Star. It's a simple, but that one's fancy.
So it made you happy to see.
You got to put the pictures up.
Yeah, we'll
How
put
did
the
it make me
pictures
feel?
up.
Well, it made me feel lucky to be there, enjoying it, just sort of like watching it slide by. It made me feel like I should get the guy's phone number because my friend Jen Hohen was going to like roll over and die when she saw that. No, but the boat really, it screams Jen Hohen to me for sure.
She does love the Lone Star. Can I chime in here a little bit?
Yeah, you chime in.
Okay, so Lone Star is I believe it's a defunct brand of boat, and they made a lot of aluminum recreational boats in the 50s, 60s, probably into the 70s. And they put some design into these things. Like they would put curves on them where there would be a sweep of the sort of top edge of the boat called the gunwale, and it would go from the bow to the stern in like a sweeping curve. And then at the stern, and then at the stern, it would curve in to create what's called Tumblehome, which is this stupid boaty name for like a really nice, shapely tuchus. Okay.
I know what you mean. Yeah. Tumblehome. That is quite the word.
Sometimes people will call it barrelback, and it serves zero functional purpose. It is purely aesthetic, which I think is a thing for us to focus on. Like, where are these aesthetic aspects of boats that are not functional, like Tumblehome, and then where are the ones that are?
Can I ask, like, is barrelback and Tumblehome, are they the same thing, or are they a little bit different?
Barrelback is extreme Tumblehome. So
so it's almost like becomes circle, and Tumblehome doesn't.
Yeah. So if you look at a boat from the back, right? If you're looking down the length of the boat from the back of it, you're looking at the stern. That's the name for the back of the boat. You're also looking at the transom, which is the like piece of the boat that makes up the stern. If you look at that, at that back of the boat, the sort of profile of it, it's just shaped like a W, like the outside edges are sort of pointed up and out. Not a W, more like a V. The outside edges are pointed up and out. There isn't any Tumblehome there. And then if you look at the back of the boat and it's like a U-shaped, and the outside edges are kind of pointed straight up, like the line extends it's pointed straight up. That's getting there. And then if the outside edges like curve back in toward the center of the boat,
like a C.
Yeah, like an upside down C. Exactly. That's Tumblehome. And Tumblehome can be you can have a little bit of that. Barrelback is extreme Tumblehome.
Like an O.
Yeah, like it gets to be O, right? Exactly.
Okay. I think that's perfectly clear.
Yeah.
Done.
I'm going to geek a little bit. So boat history.
Do it.
When boats were made out of wood, you could make these kinds of shapes because they were sort of built in 3 dimensions at once, all at once, and so you could make these kinds of curvy shapes in profile. And then when boats switched to being fiberglass, the fiberglass got laid like basically it starts as cloth and it got put into a mold. So as if you were making a mold of, what do you make molds of? What do you use a mold for in real life?
Jello?
Yeah. So yeah, Jello mold. So you'd lay cloth or lasagna. And you put lasagna noodles.
That was a really hard question, and I'm so excited that I had an answer.
So you'd lay the cloth, the fiberglass cloth. It's literally woven cloth in, and then you smear liquid plastic onto that, and then it hardens. And the plastic plus the cloth make it a skin, like a strong, sturdy skin. So when boats got made out of fiberglass, they got made in these molds. And you can imagine, like if you're making a lasagna, you lay a bunch of noodles down in there, and if you want the noodles to go up the sides, that's kind of what I'm talking about. The kicker is, like, you sort of have to pop the whole cured skin out of this mold. So like, pie shells. Like if you're going to make a pie shell, you're going to pre-bake a pie shell. You lay whatever the crust material is in there, and then you put it in. So that's like making a boat It's as simple as that. It's just a pie shell. And then when you pop it out, it has to be V-shaped. Like if the top edge of the pie shell plate, the pie plate curved in, like you wouldn't be able to get the thing out. So Tumblehome and that shape all went away with the advent of fiberglass.
Or there's no, it's like, has anyone figured that out, or just nobody care enough to try, or
there's
gotta be a way.
There's a little bit of that happening when you have 2-piece molds. So either an upper and a lower piece that get joined together. And that's actually what the Grace has. Grace has a 2-piece hull. So she has a little bit of Tumblehome at the back. Which is part of what makes her shapely and like a hottie in a cocktail dress. And then,
well, I would like to say that was very informative. And as much as you and I love to joke about how like nobody's really going to learn anything about boats when they listen to the Boaty Show, I think we can now officially say that I'm sure someone just learned something. I know I did. So thank you for that. Well done.
Or they learned half of something and then turned it off because they were like, "Oh my!"
Part of a lasagna of something. I don't know what happened, but it was good. That was very good. I love a little geekery here and there is well placed.
All right. We'll use that because Down East boats, when they were built out of wood, had some Tumblehome to them, or at least the more recreational versions did. So we're going to segue back to your Seaway and Down East hulls. So what do you know about the Down East hull? Where's it come from?
This isn't really, you know me, this isn't really my area. Like the informational side of things. All I can say is when I first saw them, I just thought, yes, that's the boat I want. And the other thing I would say, and you feel free to jump in and correct my language here, but I used to drive, I used to have a period of time where I drove like a really cool, what's it called? It was a Lyman. It was an 18-foot Lyman outboard.
Yep.
And that's where I learned about the fact that if you can avoid doing a lot of planing on the St. Lawrence River, then your life is just better. So I don't know how much of this people care about, but there's a lot of planing that goes on. We've talked about whalers, Grady's. These are all planing hulls. Can I say that? Is that right?
Yeah. And what does planing mean?
Well, it means that you kind of hammer down. You give it a lot of gas, and the nose goes up in the air. But then once it gets up high enough, then it levels out to be more parallel with the surface of the water. But my guess is there's like less of the hulls in contact, and so you're like kind of up on top, the kind of clicking along on top of the water as opposed to being deep in the water. Yeah,
you're planing. You're like lifted up and you're skimming along the top of the water. More of the boat's weight is held up by the how fast you're going, skimming over the top of the water. Like if you were skipping a stone, that stone every time it hits the water is planing briefly.
Right. So, but I mean, and blah, blah, blah. Like I never thought about any of this stuff because you just have the boat that you have and you drive the boat that you have. But then when I drove a Lyman, that was a small Lyman with an outboard, and it goes more like through, and then that you get to choose whatever speed you want to go. Because with planing, if you slow down, which you have to do all the time because it's always choppy and there's always wakes, so you have to slow down because you can't smack along. I mean, you can smack along the top, but it's fun for absolutely no one. So you got to slow down, you come off plane, and then you have to go back on plane, and it's stupid and annoying. So bottom line is, like, I was really looking for a boat kind of like that 18-foot Lyman, but I don't want wood. And when I found and saw the Seaway, I think I was eyeing it up. And I know you and I were both looking at this hull type around the same time. And you got your Down East boat before I got mine. But we were both looking for it, right?
Yep. Yeah, I was looking for an Eastern. So Seaway and Eastern are two manufacturers in New Hampshire that I believe have merged at least at a brand level. And I was looking for the boat for the same reason, because I wanted to be able to go about like 18, 20 miles an hour, not too fast, not too slow. And I didn't want to have to speed up and slow down depending on how many waves I was going into. And I wanted to have, like, I didn't want to have to spend a ton of money on a new I wanted a new outboard, and I didn't want to have to spend a ton of money on outboards. So the other upside to these boats is that they're semi-planing, so they get up a little bit, but not too much. They're more efficient at lower speeds. So at like 18 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, they'll get pushed along. Like a 18-foot boat will get pushed along by a 50 or 75 horsepower motor. Like, no big deal.
Yes, exactly. Like, so my 19-foot Seaway has a 60 horse on it.
Yep. And it just like slides. It's more about sliding and cutting instead of skipping along the top and slamming.
Yeah, and like, and it sort of, it just like releases you from that on plane, off plane dynamic, which I just is so annoying.
It is. And I want to say I'm very proud because this morning I elicited a blah 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 from you.
Remind me.
I was going on about planing and that sort of thing, and you were like, yeah, blah blah blah. Because you don't like to geek out, and there's some tension between us because I'll geek out on boats, which some of our listeners enjoy, by the way, Stephanie.
I bet they do. And, sometimes I enjoy it too. As I've said, there's a time and a place.
And you also,
I love the fact that you know things. And I also, from time to time, like learning things. I just had 1.5 too many rum punches yesterday.
so you don't want to learn anything this morning. Okay.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. So down east boats were designed originally for fishermen in like close to shore to go out and do stuff like pull lobster pots and fish and catch.
Like in Gloucester?
In Gloucester.
Okay, just checking.
People out in down east boats would not go out because they were relatively small if there was a nor'easter. They'd keep their boat in port in Gloucester. And
sorry, I'm going to stop laughing. Go.
Somehow these boats got like taken up not just by commercial fishermen and people working on the water, but by people like us who the last thing we want to do is work on the water.
That's an interesting description of us. I'll take it.
I daydream about working on the water, but I'm also afraid of ruining it for myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Word.
So these boats got picked up on a recreational basis for a lot of the same reasons that Stephanie and I cited, but probably more because they look cool. They look lobstery and glostery and nor'eastery.
So hot.
So hot. And I think that they are an underappreciated inshore boat for places where you're not just going to go hammer down super fast and stay going super fast, and places where you're not going to just like putt to the dock bar. All of those are great options, but these are a good in between. So
I agree, and I feel like this is where I'm going to surprise you with the topic I want you to talk about, which is, what does your current boat not do for you?
Oh, not do for me.
How could your boat be better, Jeff?
I would love it if my 24-foot Eastern center console, which is one of the two down east center console boats that I have. It's called the Green Dog. I would love it if it had more cushioned lounging space.
Okay, so the scenario in which that would be necessary. Well, I mean, like, to what would you like? What are you doing when you wish you had that?
I'm watching my family enjoy lounging on it. That's like secondary to my primary interest, which is I want it to have it's a big open boat, right? It's long and narrow and pointy. This is the best riding boat I've ever been in. I absolutely love it. This Eastern 24, and it's the boat that Walker and I have done a bunch of travel on. And that I want the whole front area, which is just an open deck right now, to be a bed with a nice canvas tent over it, because I want to camp on that thing and be able to be in a sheltered area, sleeping in this like super cushy bed, and it's perfectly shaped. I've laid down various orientations with a tent over it so that I could go and do more camp cruising in more comfort.
So I totally hear you. You guys do these awesome trips, and you're looking for something where it can be a bed for you guys to kind of cover up and sleep under, right?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be the functional equivalent of having a mattress in the back of your pickup truck with a cap over it. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great answer. That's because we have boats. We love our boats. They do a lot of things well, but no boat does everything.
Every boat's a compromise. That's a maxim. That's a thesis. One of the Boaty Show's theses. I almost said a couple different things, but every boat's a compromise. Okay. We've covered down east boats. We've covered, you got a question, a surprise name for me. I'm going to come back at you and talk about the punny boat name that you shared with me this week, a picture of a boat and a boat name that you took and texted me. It's you and our friend Jen, arm in arm in front of a boat, and I'm going to make you say the boat name out loud.
The name is Offshoregasm. It's pretty good. I remember it was years ago we sent you that picture. I remember at the time you were collecting punny boat names. I think you had like, I don't know, yet another Instagram account perhaps that was full of them, or maybe, I don't know. But I remember we sent you that picture and you were like, hey, great to see you guys. Glad you're having fun. And we were like, no. You did not adequately scroll in to see what was behind us. Because
it was over your right. It was over your right shoulder, and we'll put this up on the socials so that people can see. Although I say that about a lot of things and then forget, but
I know
this one we will remember. We have a submission of fake ad copy from the vice president of fake advertising, Andy Mullen, which my lovely wife Missy will read right now.
This episode of the Boaty Show is brought to you by Easy Stern Thrusters. Over 50 and having trouble landing your large vessel? Is the spouse getting frustrated you can't get the job done? Avoid the embarrassment of sloppy docking with Easy Stern Thruster. Easy Stern Thruster installs easily and discreetly in your stern, giving you the thrust you need to perform with gusto. A few powerful bursts from the stern puts even the most inexperienced boater in total control. Become the master of slippery dock spots and impress your spouse with help from Easy Drive's Stern Thruster. Sometimes we all need a little push to make memorable landings. This was for you, Marty. I hope you're listening.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? And how about that, Marty Kenner? That one went out to you, as we discussed in that segment.
Marty's a big fan of Missy's voice, but aren't we all?
She's got quite the voice. We talked at the very beginning about change, and you're in a different place. That's change. Change is good. I'm in a different place. That change is good. You're in Central Florida. I'm in Sea Isle City, which is like the Central Florida of the Jersey Shore. I don't even know what that means, but I'm going to try and start some controversy with any Jersey Shore listeners we have. And so we're going to change some other things as well. We're not going to have a boat of the week this week. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel fine about it. I like change. I've been saying this like all day, every day. Life has changed. That's what it is. So I am up for whatever. Let's go.
It's hilarious that you're like meditating on life being changed.
Why?
Because you love change?
No, because I'm bad at it. Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing?
You're not bad at it. You're good at anything you want to do. Right?
It is true that I'm bad at change, but I'm getting better.
You're bad at change, but in your life, you're good at whatever you want to do.
Thank you. If
there's something you don't want to do, you'll be like, that's hard.
Or I'll be like, I don't know anything about that. Like, right. So which is one of my favorite, comments that Max Kenner made about me. It's like, you're very proud of all the things that you don't know anything about.
You're like take that. And often when I'm geeking on boat stuff, you'll be proud of the fact that you don't know that. And that, right. And that's like,
that is a dynamic that we have. That is true.
It's a really weird rebuke of it's twisted in its own way.
So back to change. If we're not doing boat of the week, what are we doing?
We're going to do float of the week. But before we get to that, we got off on a side tangent about the Lone Star. I want to go back and close out the Lone Star. Because this Lone Star that you saw, part of the reason why we're not having a boat of the week this week is change. Also because once you sent that picture to me, that's the boat of the week. So It's a little aluminum boat. It does have a tower Mercury on it. This is the kind of boat that our guest, our younger demographic liaison from last week, Luke, this is the kind of boat that he's going to fix up at some point. Like big, tall Mercury outboard motor, and it was all silver and white and just like bejeweled almost. And then beautiful royal blue canvas, bimini top. Bimini is the boaty name for like shade thing. And like cushions, and the people on it were just like, it was clear that they loved this thing. They probably either could have, or do have a much like quote unquote nicer boat, fancier boat. But to your point, like they put a lot of love in this thing and they're fired up about it. I think it's like if somebody's out driving like an old car that's not all that like super duper valuable, but they've polished it up and kept it up and put a new top on it. Like if somebody's out in an old MGB, like a little British sports car, like, this is kind of like that.
But I think the Lone Star is not an MGB because an MG was made to impress somebody the first time around. And I don't think the Lone Star was. Do you? Don't you think the Lone Star was really, it was pretty utilitarian. It was more of a fishing boat kind of a vibe. It just happened to be pretty. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. That's a great point.
And like so this is more like, I mean, my first car was a Ford Fiesta, which I know. Yes, which I feel like somebody took the Ford Fiesta and made it super hot, which now that's all I want to do, by the way.
Is make a Ford Fiesta hot?
Yes, I do still have a thing for Ford Fiestas.
Oh my God. I have a new Craigslist mission.
What?
I have a new Craigslist mission now.
Okay.
All right, that's an aside.
That or an AMC Eagle. Those are my two top two car options.
You're right. You're right. This is the Ford Fiesta of boats, and somebody made it hot, and I think that's a great call out. The Lone Star that you saw in Central Florida pulling up to the dock bar, that's boat of the week.
And then there was also this great moment I have to tell you about super quick. So here they are. They're coming in. They're trying to land it. I'm pretty sure that the Mercury was stalling and they couldn't really dock the boat, which was exactly what it should be doing. And then, but when they did finally get it get it into the dock, there were two guys and a girl, because they're not much more than that could get into the boat. But she jumped off and started running full speed down the dock. And Laura and I just looked at each other and we were like, "Oh, she had to pee." It was great. And then she came back and we were sitting right there at our picnic table. And she was just like, "Oh my God, who helped us tie this boat up? I owe somebody a favor. I had to pee so bad." It was just a cute boaty moment.
Did you help them tie it up?
No, I just sat there.
Oh.
There were people involved. They were it was the whole thing. I just sat there and admired, took pictures for Jen Hohen. It was good.
Yes. That's a great story. Peeing on a boat, or actually not peeing on a boat, that's a whole thing.
Exactly.
Where do you go? What do you do? Can you get in the water?
Right.
Can you not get in the water?
Does it matter who you're with? Is there, do you have to jump in the water? It's alligator mating season right now. It's complicated.
Wait, that's right. It is there. You sent me a sign that said, "Do not feed the alligators."
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And some folks I know from over the river that I saw the other night informed me that it is actually alligator mating season right now. So there's some information.
Do you want to get in the water during alligator mating season or not get in the water during alligator mating season?
I can't imagine a scenario in which you could ask that question with a straight face.
Well,
what would the upside be of getting in the water during mating? I don't understand what the
They're busy. They're busy mating, so they're not gonna F with you.
That's a good point. I don't know. I definitely took the information to mean stay the hell out of the water. That's how I took it.
But if it's mating season, they're distracted unless there's something that has to do with alligator courtship. That means that he's got to go grab you by the leg while you're peeing over the side of the boat and haul you in the water, and then she's all like, "Damn."
Do you think it's there's it's feats of strength to impress the female alligators?
That's the only reason I can think of for why you would need to stay out of the water during alligator mating season.
Well, I'm going to get more information about that while I'm here in Florida. That is going to be my mission today. When I'm chilling at the pool with the folks, I'm going to be like, "Tell me more about alligator mating season," and then we'll report back. I will report back.
And why you can't get in the water?
Or can you?
Or can you? I mean, I don't know. It could be that the water's extra nasty because they're mating in it.
I think it's amazing that I did not go. My head didn't go any of these places. I just took it at face value. It's alligator mating season. Stay the hell out of the water. Done. I was done with it. But there seems to be a lot of depth that I hadn't considered. So more soon.
All right. So stay tuned. Next week we'll actually have an informational discussion of the hazards and pitfalls of alligator mating season and being in the water at the same time as alligators who may or may not be mating. We got to do some research. Oh,
this is good because when Laura and I were watching all the boats pull up yesterday, to pull up and basically dock, land, park on the grass next to this lake, and she was like, "Those people look like they've all been swimming," and I was like, well, yeah, but they were like out in the middle, like as if I knew, right, that it was safer somehow, like as if I knew something. I was like, they were probably swimming out where it's deep, away from the alligators. And she just looked at me like, did you just make that up? Which I did.
There's
just because we don't know something doesn't mean we're not going to talk about it.
no, and you especially. Because you're so proud of all the things you don't know, yet you still want to carry a conversation.
That's right. Sometimes you just have to make shit up. But it was funny. I was like, yeah, well, I mean, they were out in the middle. It's fine.
They don't mate out there. But wait, I'm clearly caught up on the alligators mating.
You are.
I need like some sort of like
something to jog us forward. Let me help you with that.
Cognitive break. Give me some
Float of the week.
Float of the week. I'm gonna play.
That was literally me throwing you like a life ring. There it is. Float of the week.
Okay, we are going to talk about the floaty party. Okay, part of why we love floaties is that they're like a way to be on and in the water, and at the same time not active, which seems to be a priority for you especially.
Not to put too fine a point on it.
No. And it's a big deal for Missy. She wants to be in the water without having to do any work. Mm-hmm. She's highly adapted evolutionarily. Like I go find things to like work on that I don't need to work on. And you are much more evolutionarily advanced than I am, because you're like, okay, like I have shelter, food, and like clothing. So like F that.
Yeah. Let me not move for as long as possible.
So on that note, we're going to talk a little bit about Float A right now, and I'm going to play the floaty, the Boaty Party song that Jay is composing right now. So this sounds like. Let me turn it down a little bit. This sounds like. There it is. A party, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. Woo! That makes me want to get up and dance on the Lone Star at the dock bar while somebody's running to pee, and it's time to like have a good time.
So what? Can I get a little bit of backstory here? How did this happen? What's going on?
You're gonna have to get that. We're gonna have to get that from Jay when.
All you know is that Jay's working on a floaty party song, and he sent you some of it.
He composed the intro, and he also composed an outro, which you haven't heard yet. We'll listen to that at the end of the show. And then out of the blue, I get an MP3. He texts it to me, and it's called Boat Party, and it's that. It's that.
So you guys haven't talked about it. You just got this.
I just got that.
Oh, it's amazing! I love it so much. It's gonna be a great song. With that and my gin and juice canned cocktail, I'm done.
Yeah.
My whole summer's planned.
What if we had our own canned beverage? The Boaty Show canned beverage.
Oh, hello.
Let's put a pin in that. Let's put that in the cooler and leave it there for a little bit.
Okay, let's do it. It's already done.
So that's the Boaty Party, and it's also the floaty party, and everybody likes to be in floaties together. And you sort of float around together. Like people go rafting down rivers in floaties, and it's like an amazing thing all over the place. Mm-hmm. We, as we've discussed before, we are now an authorized retailer of Float A, and have purchased a stock of Float A floaties that we are going to sell to our listeners. So listeners, if you would like to support this nonsense, which we're going to do no matter what, so you don't even have to even feel any sense of responsibility.
Well done.
Please contact us by text message, Instagram DM, comment, email, phone, whatever. We'd be happy to sell you a floaty, a Float A. We have loons, Adirondack chairs, moose, water saddles, campfire cooler floaties,
but the beaver's on back order.
Yeah, it's all in the.
To say again. But I just want to acknowledge the moment that you sent me a picture of the boxes that had arrived at your house, and it's like everything just became real. It was like a Disney moment, a little bit.
It was.
Don't you think?
It was a Disney moment, and I'm gonna play the audio of that because I put a blindfold on Missy and said,
I wasn't going to say it, but I'm glad you did.
I said, are you cool with me giving you a surprise? And I put a blindfold on her, and she, God bless her, was like, yeah, sure. Right. So I like led her outside to where the pile of boxes had been left by the UPS man. I put a blindfold on her, which it had lemons on it. It was a handkerchief with lemons on it. And she was great.
Why are you telling us that?
I just want to depict it for people. We walked out our front door, down the step, across the concrete, and then this happened.
Hey!
You just said you could smell it.
I can smell the plastic.
You could?
Yeah.
Wow.
I can smell the floaty.
She could smell the floaty.
Smell the floaties. I smell the floaties. I also love that when we started, like right before we started today, you were like, "We're not going to talk about float A today," but here we are.
It's so compelling.
I can smell the floaties is great. It's really good content, along with the beavers on back order, and yeah. So good. It's really exciting.
This stuff's got to make it on some T-shirts. I can smell the floaty. Beavers on back order. I think I'm compelled to talk about Float A because I guess we're continuing to front load our affection.
Yeah, you can say that. We have like a trip to Toronto planned to stalk these people. It's going to be great. There's nothing weird going on at all.
Nothing weird. We're going to be like figure out where they are, and then we'll like be out in front of their warehouse, like kicking a can back and forth, like. You're going to be holding up a boombox playing, In Your Eyes.
Is that a John Cusack reference?
It is, to say anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Give me a trench coat. Let's go. Let's go.
That's great.
Toronto. Let's just play that little like Jay's little thing just on circle. Just gonna over and over. Just listen to it the whole way to Toronto. Just show up there and be like, "Oh my god, you guys are here! That's so weird."
That's what plays on the boombox instead of Bruce Hornsby.
Yeah.
Jay's boat party. Okay.
I think we've been on the phone for 2 hours. What should we do now? Float of the week.
Float of the week. We're gonna bring it home with float of the week. So that's the surprise change. We're not doing boat of the week. We're doing float of the week. And we solicited submissions from people. 2 came through.
Well, can we also acknowledge that our friend Ann Flynn sent us some AI? Like, what was that? That was amazing.
That's right. We had 3 submissions. Sarah Stanton, who you know as what?
Freighter Sarah. Yes.
Freighter Sarah, because she sent
Freighter Sarah.
Love Freighter Sarah.
The freighter for Boat of the Week a couple weeks ago. And that was a great submission.
Which was bold. And that would have won, but for was that the week we had the 80s ski boat?
No, I think it was the week after that, but yeah. There was some other hot boat that needed to win. And it was cheap. That's what I remember. There was a cheap boat that I liked.
It was Sarah McKinley's little aluminum skiff. Yeah.
Not unlike the Lone Star.
Not unlike the Lone Star. It's like like with boating, there's a value to having the most fun in the smallest, least expensive, yet also cool and reliable package possible. I think the Lone Star and Sarah's aluminum skiff check those boxes.
Right, exactly. That's right. Well said.
So first submission from Sarah is what the hell is that, Steph?
It's a seahorse, and it's amazing. It's like seahorsey. It's enormous. It's ridiculous. It also looks very, very comfortable. And I can't tell if there's 2 of them or if somehow maybe this is like one enormous floaty toy, but it doesn't matter.
If it is, there's 2 seahorse heads. If it's a single floaty, it's 2 seahorses intertwined.
And then she also...
Come on! We were talking about alligators mating, and you're not going to pick up on intertwined seahorses?
Listen, sometimes you just got to keep it clean. But there is a love... She did send this other image, right? The SpongeBob reference. I mean, just the 2 pictures together are really good, and I hope you manage, even though we only put up half the shit we say we're going to put up, I hope you put this up for people, because it's so good. Could you do the applause button for Sarah right now?
I didn't
win yet, but I just think I feel like it was needed. Thank you.
You know what I just noticed? I believe it is 2 seahorses. I have met Sarah's sister, and that is Sarah and her twin sister, fraternal twin sister, on seahorse floaties in a pool.
Just fabulous.
That's
I'm
brilliant.
I have all the feelings like I want to be related to them. I want to be on a seahorse. It's like, yeah, it's really compelling. It's good stuff. Fabulous material.
And the seahorses as a floaty, I'm skeptical of floaties that have too many appendages and things going on, because like it's always like it's like a wrestling match to get on the damn thing, and then you're like, what the hell? And that's me, and I don't like floaties. So, but these look pretty comfortable given that there's a head and a tail and a middle part and some like little flappy wings. Like seahorses have those little flappy wings, and these have those flappy wings.
Yeah, but I also just love this because I want everyone to remember that awkward conversation we had about how you don't like floaty pants. And so that's why I laugh so hard. It's like, yeah, you got issues, man. You got issues with getting on and off floaties in a way. I don't know. I feel like you need a little therapy around it.
There's definitely something buried, like probably multiple things buried underneath my complex relationship with floaties.
Yeah, it's weird. A lot of work getting on and off floaties, so I would think you would like it.
But the way that Sarah prepared this picture of she and her twin sister lounging on these seahorse floaties with a cartoon depiction of SpongeBob with like a beautiful flowing red wig riding a seahorse under the sea is excellent. So,
I know, because like I feel like the reference, like this reference graphic, like she's like it wasn't in any way necessary, but it makes everything better too. Like she could have just sent a picture of her and her sister looking awesome and happy on this amazing floaty, but instead she was like, here we are, and also here's what we're doing.
Just so it's clear,
we're doing SpongeBob. Yeah, that's good.
So that was the first submission. So thank you, Sarah and your sister. Now, second submission was I'll read it. The Joyen inflatable peacock pool float. Giant green peacock riding on raft for swimming pool, beach floaties, party decoration toys, inflatable island, summer pool raft, lounge for adults and kids water fun.
That's definitely just a list of keywords. This is not actual advertising. This is straight off Amazon.
That's the copy that the AI generated for this thing. And I just clicked on the link, and oh my Lord, it is a full-blown peacock floaty with plumage, and it's got the little dongly things on top of its head. And of course, there's a lovely lady lounging on it.
It's a lot. It looks really hard to get onto, so it's probably going to be your pick.
It does.
This is not my pick, but it's funny. It's funny as hell.
And then the third submission was from our friend Anne. Would you describe like what you got, and then the conclusion you jumped to, and then how we sort of unraveled this or unpacked this?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna give myself a little bit of cover by saying that I was in Florida, like under the heat lamp that is like Central Florida sun. I couldn't really see anything on my phone. But she sent us some pictures and said wine bag floaties, and I thought somehow Anne had found wine bag floaties, which was a prior topic on the Boaty Show, and I got so excited. You know, she found the golden mecca of floaty toys. But as it turns out, which she I think finally said, like, this is what AI does. She put something into AI. I don't know. You know more about this than me. You talk.
All right. So with current AI, you know, there's been billions of dollars of investment in artificial intelligence. And so typical to humans, they're using it to like do silly things. So you can, I don't know which AI she used, but she prompted it with, wine bags and floaty pool toys. And it generated a bunch of pictures of like wine, like cartoonish wine bottles shaped into floaty toys and boats with wine bottles. It didn't pick up on the bag part.
Yeah, you're right. It didn't, which is understandable. I mean, it's a bit of a deep cut there.
The AI is like, I'm not familiar with wine bags, but I know wine and wine bottles and blah blah blah. So it did that, and they're like some interesting pictures.
It made me really happy. It did. It made me happy. If you're interested in my take, Sarah's got my vote all the way on this one. I'm so in love with it. It's very well done.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Right. A, perfectly legitimate, glorious seahorse floaty. B, that is in an appropriate, sunny, sort of like beachy looking pool location. C, it's her and her twin sister on twin seahorse floaties. A, B, C. D.
Keep it up.
D, the piece de resistance is the reference photo of SpongeBob in a glorious, beautiful wig riding a seahorse under the sea. So, Sarah, and your sister, you win Float of the Week.
So,
we'll send you, of course, and your sister, Boaty Show sticker. That, my friend, and our friends, our listeners, is our show.
well, this was a lot of fun. I feel like we covered some new territory. A little outside of the box this time. I like it.
A little outside of the North Country in Philadelphia, if that's what you mean by box. You're in Central Florida.
That's what I meant. Oh my God, it was great. It was good to see your face. Everyone looks good. You guys look happy.
Yeah.
Go miss. Enjoy yourselves.
Go get in the pool. Maybe float in the pool.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yo ho ho, that's it for the Boaty Show. Grab the cooler, pack the lines, let's go, go, go. Yo ho ho ho.
That's it for the Boaty Show. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Stay floaty.